કેમ છો ધીમનભાઈ? Many happy returns of the day.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
धीमन जी जन्मदिन की शुभकामनाएं.
Thank you, thank you. इला क्या क्यों? अल्लाह બધું ખોઈ ગયો આ બધું. Open Zoom meeting along with it. अरे પણ મેં કે દબાયો તો નીકળી ગયો. યા પણ મ્યુટ કરવાનું છે કે અનમ્યુટ કરવાનું છે? અનમ્યુટ.
ધીમનભાઈ.
બોલો.
ધીમનભાઈ.
બોલો.
Can you hear us?
મારી ગ્રેન્ડડોટર ની નો ફોન છે તો હું તમને જરા 2 મિનિટ co-host બનાવું તો ચાલે?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So just let people in please if you don't mind.
ઘરો પછી કોણ છે એવું?
No. I'll fix.
We'll manage. Okay, no problem. We'll take care.
We'll take care.
All right. Okay.
અને જે આપણે બે જણા છે
ના
રેકોર્ડિંગ ચાલુ થઈ ગયું છે એટલે I think I saw it all of us. તો તારે શું क्या problem? પેલા ભાઈ કીધું કયા ભાઈ
ના
दिन की बहुत 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 आपको शुभकामनाएं.
प्रणाम प्रणाम. Thank you.
मार्कंडे की उम्र हो. आज मेरे स्टूडेंट ऋत्विक का भी जन्मदिन है. तो दोनों आप म्यूजिक में है ना, आप भजन गाते हैं, वो तबला बजाता है. So
the tabla player, he is the best way I ever saw. Yes.
उसका भी आज जन्मदिन होता है. जी, तो उसको भी सुबह विश किया. आपको भी मैंने फेसबुक पे तो लिखा था, पता नहीं आपको मिला होगा नहीं, लेकिन आपको तो मिलेंगे. आप मार्कंडे
देखा था. थैंक यू. आपकी ऑल सब
मंदिर के परिवार सब सभ्यों का मिला था मैसेज. थैंक यू.
बहुत 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 मार्कंडे की हो. आप बस ऐसे गाते रहिए मंदिर में.
प्रणाम प्रणाम.
अरुण भाई, आज उनकी बर्थडे में मैं भी मंदिर में पैसे डोनेट कर रही हूँ.
सबको मेरा प्रणाम. जय श्री कृष्ण. और श्रीमंत भाई वेरी 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 हैप्पी बर्थडे.
थैंक यू.
अच्छी बात है जी.
थैंक यू. तृप्ति बहन वेलकम. वेलकम तृप्ति बहन, उषा बहन, एवरीबॉडी.
Yeah, I'll be sending money for his birthday through Zelle.
Thank you so much. Trupti Ben, namaste, Jai Shri Krishna. So nice to see you.
जी अभी शुरू करें। आज वो 6:30 बजे आएंगे अरुण जी।
हाँ जी, डॉक्टर कपाड़िया 6:30 बजे आएंगे। हाँ जी।
तो मैं श्लोक लेती हूँ तो फिर आप आज शुरू कीजिए भाई।
1 मिनट। हाँ अरुण भाई, अपनी भावना जी का कोई फोन आया है तो वो गई है, हमको एडमिट करना सबको। आप कर सकते हैं क्या? आप भी कर सकते हैं कि नहीं? आप हैं को होस्ट?
अभी नहीं बनाया उसने।
अच्छा, तो यहाँ पे
आप को होस्ट है।
हाँ, तो मैं जरा देख लूँ।
एडमिट में है। Anybody waiting?
Yeah. Okay.
But that's okay. You can open.
Okay. Yeah. I'll keep it like this. Yeah. Okay. अच्छा, आप श्लोक करिए, फिर दिमन एक भजन गाएंगे आज।
हाँ
जी। अगर आप श्लोक से शुरू करना चाहते हैं, आज आपका जन्मदिन है स्पेशल।
नहीं, आप शुरू करिए।
चंद्र जी, आप करके ब्लेस करिए ना इनको।
हाँ, फिर हम
ब्लेसिंग तो आपके चाहिए हमें।
Yes.
वक्रतुण्डा महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दं भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु रूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु बुद्धिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः।
Thank you चंद्र जी।
अनिल भाई राग भोपाली છે।
सारे ग पद सा पर रे सा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा घटमा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महान प्रभु जी इमारा घटमा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी
हमारा घटमा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी
मारू मंडू छे गोकुल वृंदावन मारा घटमा मारा मन आंगणिया
मारा प्राण जीवन
मारा घटमा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी
महाप्रभु जी
मारा आत्म ने आंगणे श्री महाप्रभु जी
मारा आत्म नांगणे श्री महाप्रभु जी
मारा आत्म नांगणे श्री महाप्रभु जी
मारा आत्म नांगणे श्री महाप्रभु जी
मारी आँखों दिशे गिरधारी रे धारी
मारी आँखों दिशे गिरधारी रे धारी
मारी आँखों दिशे मारी आँखों दिशे गिरधारी रे धारी मारो तन मन मर तन मन गयो जिन वारी रे वारी श्याम मुरारी मारा घटमा
विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी
मारा प्राण थकी मन वैष्णव वाला
मारा प्राण थकी मन वैष्णव वाला
नित करता श्रीनाथ जी वाला रे वाला
नित करता श्रीनाथ जी वाला रे वाला
बेटो वल्लभ मैं तो वल्लभ प्रभु जी न धारे दर्शन मरो मोरे हे मारा
खटमा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी।
तो नित्य विठ्ठलवल्ली सेवा करूं
तो नित्य विठ्ठल वर्णी सेवा रे करूं
तो आप थे समा के जाकिर करूं
तो आखे समाधि जाकिर करूं
मैं तो चित मैं तो चितड़ू श्रीनाथ जी ने शरण लयो जीवन सफल थयो के मारा घटमा
विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी।
आओ जीवन मालाओ भरी कभी न मरे
आओ जीवन मालाओ भरी कभी न मरे
वारे वारे मानव दिन भरी न मरे
वारे वारे मानव जीवन भरी न मरे
तेरा लख रे चौरासी मारो रे पड़े मन मनमोहन मरे
मारा घटवा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी।
मारा अंत समय की सुनो रे अर्जी मारा
अंत समय की सुनो रे अर्जी
ले जो चरणाम श्रीनाथ हमारे अर्जी
ले जो चरणाम श्रीनाथ मामा जया रे हरि
मने तेरा रे मने तेरा रे हम तेरा कदी नामी मन साथ तेरा रे
तुम्हारा घटवा विराजता श्रीनाथ जी यमुना जी महाप्रभु जी।
श्रीनाथ जी श्रीनाथ जी श्रीनाथ जी मंदिर नाम नवासी श्रीनाथ
श्रीनाथ जी श्रीनाथ जी श्रीनाथ जी मन मंदिर नावासी रे श्रीनाथ जी।
महाप्रभु जी महाप्रभु जी महाप्रभु जी घट घट मावे तारे श्री यमुना जी
महाप्रभु जी महाप्रभु जी महाप्रभु जी घट घट माँ बहता रे श्री यमुना जी।
श्रीनाथ
जी बोलो, श्री यमुना जी बोलो,
श्रीनाथ जी बोलो, श्री यमुना जी बोलो, श्रीनाथ जी बोलो, श्री यमुना जी बोलो, श्रीनाथ जी बोलो, श्री यमुना जी बोलो, श्रीनाथ जी
श्रीनाथ जी, श्रीनाथ जी, गण गण मामा प्यारे श्रीनाथ जी। जय श्री कृष्ण।
जय श्री कृष्ण, वेरी नाइस। ये हमारे जगदीश भाई का बहुत फेवरेट भजन है।
यस, थैंक यू।
रानी सिंगला जी,
एक और कोई गा ले, मैं फिर उसके बाद गा।
अच्छा
टाइम है तो
ठीक। हरवंश आर्या जी, आप भजन गाएंगे एक हमारे लिए? हरवंश जी।
चंद्र जी आप गाइए, आप
हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? I am on my.
नमस्ते हरवंश जी।
हाँ जी, अरुण जी, गुड टू टॉक टू यू।
गुड टू टॉक टू यू टू। एक भजन सुना दीजिए कोई छोटा सा।
शायद वो भजन पहले आप सुन चुके। छोटी सी एक प्रार्थना सी है।
हाँ जी।
दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे, सब अपराध क्षमा करो मोरे, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे। हे जंगल में मंगल दाता, हे जंगल में मंगल दाता, तुम हो मात पिता मम भ्राता, तुम हो मात पिता मम भ्राता, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे, सब अपराध क्षमा करो मोरे, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे। मैं अनजान हूँ और अज्ञानी, मैं अनजान हूँ और अज्ञानी, तुम हो ज्ञानी अंतर्यामी, तुम हो ज्ञानी अंतर्यामी, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे, सब अपराध क्षमा करो मोरे, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे। चारों पदार्थ आप ही दीजो, चारों पदार्थ आप ही दीजो, दर दर का नहीं भिक्षुक कीजो, दर दर का नहीं भिक्षुक कीजो, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे, सब अपराध क्षमा करो मोरे, दो कर जोड़ विनय करूँ तोरे। थैंक यू।
मजा आ गया, मजा आ गया।
Very nice, very nice.
Very nice, आर्य साहब जी, बहुत अच्छे, ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी।
बहन जी, गुड टू हियर योर वॉइस, गुड टू हियर योर वॉइस।
थैंक यू जी, आपकी आवाज सुन के अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा लगा जी।
थैंक
आप
यू, थैंक
हमेशा गाया करिए, आप हमेशा आते हैं तो आप गाइए प्लीज, आप जरूर गाइए।
I generally speaking, I log on to it, but sometimes I have difficulty. For example, last time I tried and it won't even let me get on. Maybe I was making some mistake. And actually I was to write to Arun and ask him, have you put some kind of restriction? But today there was no problem.
ये बेचारे ये तो हम लोगों को ही भेजते रहते हैं कि आगे मेल भेजिए अपने फ्रेंड्स को, तो आप हमेशा आया करिए और भजन गाया करिए। लव
I
टू
will do
हियर
my best. My best.
जी,
I will
थैंक
do my best.
Thank you, Harvansh ji.
Sir, आंखों पर।
Bhavna Ben and Arun bhai, I have one observation.
हाँ जी
90% of people who join us, they are not showing their video. In other words,
I know
Yeah, I know. If people can turn their videos on, I was just going to say that would be much nicer.
speaker feels insulted when they are
I
not
agree with you.
attention.
सबको सब अपने देखिए,
That's so much nicer.
ब्यूटीफुल भगवान की फोटो है
हाँ,
पीछे।
वो भरत कुमार जानी की जो
जी
वहाँ है,
जी
and Parul and Sudha ji and Bharti and Asha Rora.
जी नहीं, आई टोटली एग्री। अगर नजर आए तो बहुत अच्छी बात है सबकी। हाँ जी, हाँ जी, रानी जी की टर्न है।
अच्छा, आप गा रहे हो पहले कि
नहीं, आप गाइए।
मेरे बाद गाइएगा फिर? तो एक गाना अगेन आपकी रिक्वेस्ट हुई आपके। ओके दिस
Rani ji, if just while you're preparing, if the people who are on the iPad and the showing on the iPad, if you could just put your name, if you could just change the name so that we know who you are, we would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So if you can just rename yourself, then we can see at least who is here.
Okay, this is
Okay. हाँ जी.
सुनाई दे रहा है ना?
हाँ जी.
तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए, तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए, भले बुरे सारे कर्मों को देखे और दिखाए, तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए, तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए। मन ही देवता मन ही ईश्वर, मन से बड़ा न कोई, मन ही देवता मन ही ईश्वर, मन से बड़ा न कोई, मन उजियारा जब जब फैले,
फोल्ड कर करके
जग उजियारा हो, इस उजले दर्पण पर प्राणी भूल न जमने पाए, तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए, तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए। बार फोन कर रहे हैं। सुख की कलियां दुख के कांटे, मन सबका आधार, सुख की कलियां दुख के कांटे मन सबका आधार। मन से कोई बात छुपे ना मन के नैन हजार। जग से चाहे भाग ले कोई मन से भाग न पाए। तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए। तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए। भले बुरे सारे कर्मों को देखे और दिखाए। तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए। तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए।
आईपैड पे नाम नहीं होगा तो भी।
थैंक यू।
थैंक यू रानी जी। मैंने अनम्यूट। चंदर जी
अभी टाइम है?
हाँ जी हाँ जी है हाँ जी।
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता। नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। प्रेम सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। प्रेम सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। दया दया बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। माता निरंजनी माता निरंजनी भैरवी माता। जय 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 अम्बे। जय 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 अम्बे। दया सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। माता महेश्वरी आई भवानी। माता महेश्वरी साई भवानी। जय 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 अम्बे। जय 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 अम्बे। दया सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। प्रेम सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। हे महादेवी लक्ष्मी माता। हे महादेवी लक्ष्मी माता। जय 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 अम्बे। जय 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 अम्बे। दया सुधा बरसाओ माता। जय 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 अम्बे। जय 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 अम्बे। जय 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 प्रेम सुधा बरसाओ माता, जय 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 अम्बे। दया सुधा बरसाओ माता, जय 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 अम्बे। Thank you.
थैंक यू चंद्र जी। भावना जी।
हाँ जी।
जतिन भाई आए हुए हैं तो।
हाँ जी। I've made him, Jatin bhai,
He's the co-host.
yeah, I've made you the co-host. So let me see, where is he? Let me just spotlight him. So yeah. Kem cho Jatin bhai? Namaste.
Good, good, very good. Namaste, namaste. Oh. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. So, we are starting with a new book. Its name is Sadhana Panchakam. So sadhana is a spiritual practice. And Panchakam is the one with 5 shlokas. So spiritual practice of 5 shlokas. Good, we can finish 5 shlokas in one day. Well, not really. Because each of the shloka has 4 lines. So that takes time now. Now, each of the line has 2 sadhanas. So there are 40 sadhanas in that tiny 1-page literature. And these 40 sadhanas are prescribed by who? Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya is such a deep human being that nothing he says is easy. And nothing he says is meaningless. So, Shankaracharya, let's talk about a little bit about him. Shankaracharya was born almost 1200 years ago. So actually, it was, the exact date is 788. He was supposed to live for 16 years because that was the boon to his parents from their tapas, and Lord Shiva did agree to give them a son. But the promise was whether they want a brilliant short life child or an ordinary child with ordinary length of life. And they chose brilliant short life child. So Shankaracharya was born. His name is Shankara too. And he was supposed to live for 16 years. Over the period of time, Lord Vishnu was so happy with his work that through Veda Vyas, he doubled the age of Shankaracharya. So now he can live 32 years. The meaning Shankara is Sham Karoti iti Shankara. Now Sham is auspicious. So auspiciousness, the one who does, his name is Shankara. And he not only was an auspicious human being, he spread that auspiciousness all throughout India. A little story about that is thousands of years ago, there was only one unbroken religion in India. And then came out 4 or 5 popular religions out of it. But still, the oldest Hinduism remained. When Hindustan was ruled by different people between 4,500 years ago and 2,500 years ago, the civilization of Indus Valley, which is around Pakistan, North India now, because of that civilization, people gave the name Indus Valley civilization is people living there is called Hindus. So that's how the Hindus name came. But a lot of our scriptures were from before that time. So the rishis were teaching before that time. And that's why most of our oldest scriptures never have a name Hindus, because there were no Hindus there. At that time, it was Sanatan Dharma. And then Sanatan Dharma eventually broke it down into 4 different religions: Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism. Sikhism is relatively very, very recent. And there are few even after that. So when Shankaracharya was born, he at that time, say Hinduism is old religion. Sanatan Dharma is old religion. And when Buddha was born approximately 2,500 years ago, 500 BC. That's a popular date, but there are some controversies there too. But then most of the Hindustan, most of the India, almost 80% of the people in India became Buddhist. So very small portion, less than 1/5 of the population of India were now following Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism. So this happens with all the religions, that it becomes popular, then there is a decay because the people who are supposed to promote, they get corrupted. And then somebody else comes up and there is a renaissance of the religion again. So that person was Shankaracharya. If there was no Veda Vyas, there would never have been Hinduism. And if there was no Shankaracharya, we wouldn't be Hindus today. So both of them are extremely important to Hindus. Then let me tell you another story before we begin. That once there was a king, and the king had twins, and they're the only 2 boys he had. And he didn't know who to make him a king because he's growing old and somebody has to replace him. So he said, okay, I'm going to test both of you. What do I suggest? This is a large room in my palace. I am going to give you 100 gold coins. You go in the city, you buy whatever you want to buy and fill that room. And whoever fills it completely, totally, as much as he can, will become the king. So one brother, he thought, the cheapest thing in the town is the garbage. Nobody pays anything for garbage. So he picked up those garbage and started collecting and putting it in the room. Then people found out that this guy is collecting garbage. So they started charging him. And no, you can't take my garbage unless you pay me for it. And he spent his 100 gold coins. But he filled the room with incredible garbage. The other brother, he went out and bought a big box of candles. And then when the 7 days were finished, king asked, okay, let me go and see the rooms. Come, show me. So one guy's garbage he saw. The other guy says, you didn't fill anything. He said, no, I filled it. Let me show you. And he lighted all those candles. There was not a single corner, up, down, right, left, front, back, not an inch of space in the room left without the light. Light represents knowledge. What are we doing? We are collecting garbage. Who do you think who became the king? It's very obvious who became the king. So we need to change. And that change has to come from within. That I want to change. Unless that feeling comes in us, we will never change. That feeling has to come. I want to change. This is the beginning. This is the first smallest, this little book. I'm sure that a lot of you got it already. It's nothing, just one page of writing.
We bought the books actually, but not everybody. I did mail it to Marie. Okay. But I don't think everybody here, because I just got them yesterday.
No problem. I will give the solution that you go and Google and put Sadhana Panchakam. Yeah. You will find one Sadhana Panchakam from Chicago. And they not only, Chinmaya Mission, Chicago. Peoria. Chinmaya Mission, Peoria, Illinois. And not only you will find all 5 slokas, you will also find the meaning and the commentary on each one of the sloka. It is many, many pages altogether. I don't know, 20 pages? Maybe, yeah, around that. And there is another book which is deeper than that. But I don't think you should go for a very deep book, because then it describes so much about the other things, people will get lost. So look into the Chinmaya Mission Peoria book on Sadhana Panchakam, and either you download it or you can open right now or later on, whenever you want. But you will be able to, well, anyway, I'm going to put the slide right now, so it's not a problem. So let us start with the book. So Sadhya, what is Sadhya? Sadhya is the goal. And that is the goal of all of us, whether we know it or we don't know. Even if we don't know, that is the goal. How can we have the goal when we don't know? But the goal is supreme. Our scripture says that we have 4 purushartha: artha, kama, moksha, dharma. Start with dharma. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So that is the goal of our life. This is what any scripture would tell you. What are the 4 purushartha? What should we be doing? Then we should follow dharma. We should earn money. We should get married and have children. And then we should look for the moksha. So that moksha is a must. That must be the goal of our life. So that sadhya means the goal. The goal of our life should be moksha. Who is a sadhak? Sadhak is all of us. We all have the same goal. So we are the sadhak, and sadhya is realization, moksha. The sadhak uses the spiritual practice to reach sadhya is called sadhana. Sadhana is a spiritual practice. And this book describes 40 different spiritual practices. To some extent, we all should be following all of them. But once we go through, we will realize what each one of them means. This is a very simple, but still it can be a very, very deep book. So let's begin. You want to put the slide? Okay. Second. All right. So we will chant, and if you want, you can chant with us, but just make sure that we are still muted. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karma swanushtiyatam tene shashya vidhiyatam pachitihi kamye matistajyatam papauga paridhuyatam sukhe doshonusandiyatam atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagruhat turnam vinirgamyatam. Now we can all sing together because first time you didn't know. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taditam karma swanushtiyatam tene shashya vidhiyatam pachitihi kamye matistyajyatam papauga paridhuyatam bhavasukhe doshonusandiyatam atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagruhat turnam vinirgamyatam. All right, it's okay. We will take a little bit portion of each one of them, and each of the line we will divide into 2 so we can understand better what it says. All right. Vedo nityamadhiyatam. It means study the scriptures, Vedas, daily. That's what the meaning of the first 2 words. Study the Vedas daily. Well, we can't study the Vedas daily now because we have to prepare, be able to study Vedas. They are extremely difficult, and this book is extremely meant for beginners. So we have a long way to go, but at least let us understand what it is. Let's put the next slide. Okay. This slide is the answer of Bhavna. Yes. Bhavna Ben, this is the answer.
Okay.
Confusion. And you will know it when I get there. So let us understand what it is. I purposely put this slide for you. Okay, let's see. So these are the Hindu scriptures. Shruti. What is Shruti? Shruti means Veda. There is only one Veda. It is a thick book, almost this size, and long too. I mean, it's hard to carry. It's a very, very big book. And when you open, then it kind of occupies half of my table because now 2 pages are seen at the same time. That big Veda. Now, who wrote it? Compiled. Actually, it came from the Lord Vishnu, but Ved Vyasa compiled. He compiled means he didn't write it. He gathered the information of all the rishis and put it together and called it Veda. Veda means to know. To know is the translation of the root called Veda. Then he figured it out that I did this, but my disciples are not ready to remember. Remember, in those days, there were no papers, so he cannot write it down. So all the teaching was from mouth to mouth. So he didn't have the disciples he taught good enough to remember the whole thing. So he divided one Veda into 4. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. So these are the 4 Vedas. This is the real original scriptures, quote unquote, our Bible. But then we made the Bible very small Bible by putting it into Bhagavad Gita. So now Bhagavad Gita is our Bible. But this is the original scripture that we have. And it is a Shruti. It is the highest. It is the one in which the Bhagavan gives us the knowledge when we are in deep meditation. And that's what the rishis had the knowledge, and that's what they taught all the children. Oh, now, that was thousands of years ago. And ultimately, Ved Vyas compiled it. Each of the Veda has 4 portions. Mantra is the description of the beauty of the nature. And believe me, even today, after thousands of years, the scientists in the world look at the description of the Vedas and figure it out that 5,000 years ago, what was the astronomy was. And then they figured it out, the knowledge which the people had thousands of years ago, and they still want to do the research, they will go back to Veda. Mantra, it's the beauty of the nature. When you want to praise the mother, what do? You praise her son, her daughter, and she will be very happy. So when we want to praise Bhagavan, we praise Bhagavan's creation, which is mantra portion of Vedas. Then in good old days, the only thing was ritual, havan. If people want a son, they will do the havan, the rituals. If people want the rain to come, they will do the havan, the ritual. So those rituals are described in a second portion called Brahmana. And those who teach us or do the rituals even today is called Brahmins. So Brahmins take the rituals from Brahmana portion of Vedas. The third portion is Bhakti. Bhakti is Upasana. That portion is called Aranyaka. The last portion is the most important. It is called Upanishads. Now, Upanishads give us the spiritual knowledge. What we are learning now and what we should be knowing and what gives us realization, moksha, is the knowledge which comes from Upanishads. Ved Vyas wrote it, then he realized that, well, I'm teaching this, but nobody is understanding. So he made it simpler. One small sentence, another small sentence, another small sentence. It is called Brahma Sutra. Sutra is a small aphorism, and that is nothing but it comes from Shruti. It is also written by Ved Vyasa. It is equally difficult. Those who don't understand Shruti are not going to understand Brahma Sutra either. They are difficult. Then there was a different kind of literature in Hinduism, which is called Smruti. Now, Smruti means codes of conduct. That when there are few people living together or many people living together, there must be rules in the society. There were no police at that time. So the rules are being followed, which is taught by the elderly people, but originally it is in Manusmriti, in Yajnavalkya Smriti, and the best Smriti we know today is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live life. That is the biggest Smriti, most important, deepest, and all of the literature in Bhagavad Gita comes from Shruti, from the Vedas. Now, all three of them, you can argue as much as you want, because this is truth. This is scientific literature, and this is, you cannot shake it. People discuss each sentence for hours and hours and hours, because it is the truth and the scientific. Now, Smriti has one problem, that whatever is written in Smriti applies to that age, but the world changes, so the rules changes. And that's how the Smriti is not that much applicable today. Now, itihasas, the rishis decided to tell the history of India from this itihasas. The biggest two epics are Mahabharata and Ramayana. Very big literature. So it only shows what the histories are. The Puranas were 18 Puranas written by Ved Vyas, and some of them we know very well. Bhagavatam, Shiva Purana, Vishnu Purana, but there are 18 of those Puranas. Now, let me tell you what the problem is. All of us like to read Puranas. Puranas have beautiful, beautiful stories. What is the problem with Puranas? Is that it is what was in Itihasa plus what could be. So what could be, that means that there is an imagination goes in it. So now let's say if they make the movie on Gandhi, so that movie is not 100% identical to the life of Gandhi. Then there is a dramatization in it. So once there is a dramatization, you cannot argue, why did he do this? Why did he do this? Arre Baba, it is a dramatization. The same way, Puranas is what was the history of India, what the Shruti want us to know, and put it in the form of a story, so the people who were not very educated, very intelligent, they can understand what Vedas want us to understand. The problem with the professor in Rutgers is that she doesn't know this. She's a very ignorant human being. And yes, I don't hesitate. Say that. That's what it is. Because what did she do? She criticized Hinduism looking at Puranas. What are you talking about? We should never ask why about Puranas. Because if somebody gives you a novel, why would you ask a question that why did the author write this? It is up to the author. So our Puranas does have tremendous tattva in it. All that tattva comes from Shruti, but it is told in the form of a story. When they said that Parvati ji did tapas for 8,000 years, was Parvati ji alive for 8,000 years? Did she do the tapas for 8,000 years? Those who love Bhagavan will say yes. But those who want to fight with the idea that this is impractical, don't argue. It doesn't make sense. You want to argue? You read Rig Veda and then come and argue. And then you know what Hinduism is. All other religions, tattva comes from Hinduism. And they criticize Hinduism. Are you out of your mind or what? But they only read Puranas and then find the faults. You cannot argue with what happens in Purana. It is a gossip. And that's gossip because it is not supposed to be tear apart. You only take the knowledge from it and interpret and change your life. That if the Purana says, don't lie, you understand, you should not lie. If the Purana says, this is the way you behave, yes, you take that and you understand this is the way you behave. But you cannot gossip about Puranas. You want to challenge Hinduism? Challenge by reading Shruti. Come and argue with the Shruti. But that person or many other people or the Western whole culture does not understand the difference between Shruti and Puranas. Purana is called Sambhav Shastra. Sambhav means possibilities. Possibility Shastra is called Puranas. And you can't pick something from Puranas, oh, this magic is impossible. I know it is impossible. Kauravas were 100 children of one parent. How can you have 100 children? So why are you arguing about it? We should argue about the mind of those 100 children versus the minds of the Pandavas, actions of 100 children versus the action of 5 brothers. This is what we should be arguing about, but not argue about how did he get 100 children, because it is a Purana. I wish and I hope that we all understand it. The reason is we do the same thing. Why do we do the same thing? Because we are ignorant. I mean, so often, because see, I lived my life here for 66 years before I went and I came back. And some of the friends, even in the party, they will come and ask me, oh, why did Rama let Sita go to the forest? It's unfair. I don't argue, because that is, this party is not the place you talk about scriptures, one. And number two, the person who is asking is ignorant. And when he is ignorant, how can you answer with him? To make him understand will take me an hour. And it should be a different situation. Let us sit down one-to-one, or let us sit down in a class and let us discuss what it is all about. But you cannot justify ignorance. That is called Puranas. I hope we understand. Okay. The last group of scriptures are Prakrana Grantha. Prakrana Grantha is a beginner's book. This is Prakrana Grantha. The same way the one which we did on meditation is Prakrana Grantha. The one which we did Atma Bodha is Prakrana Grantha. Prakrana Grantha, like self-informment, and we have at least several hundred Prakrana Grantha. And different organizations have written different beginners book, and they all are valid. So as long as they come from a right organization, then it is valid book, and we all should read. So we just started one Prakrana Grantha today. That's what we did. All right. So what did this shloka say? What this shloka says is this, is that this scripture, if you understand, read Shruti. If you don't understand, read Prakrana Grantha and read every single day. Actually, that Nitya does not mean daily. Ordinarily, we mean Nitya means daily. Read every day. No, 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 no. Not read every day. Read constantly. Or read every day, but do the mananam constantly. So if we read something which is a scriptural book, and if we understood one thing about it, then we should be chewing in our mind all day when we have nothing else to do. And we should try to do the mananam or reflection on what we read before. That is the meaning of nitya. So Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. Adhiyatam means study. Nityam means constantly. And Veda is our scriptures. So either Prakrana Grantha or little advanced higher books or Shruti or Bhagavad Gita, whatever makes you comfortable, we should be studying all the time. Because remember the fourth Purushartha, moksha. And that fourth Purushartha, if we don't try, we never will get there. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is Taduditam karma svanusthiyatam. What does that mean? What that means is perform diligently the duties prescribed in our scriptures. Now, that means you not only read the scriptures, you follow the scriptures and you follow the duties which the scriptures say you should be doing. Now, the duties, I think once we talked about brahmacharya ashram, grahastha ashram, vanprastha ashram, sannyasa ashram. So our duties in first 25 years of life is what? Study, acquire knowledge, learn discipline, and the most important, learn the values and virtues and spiritual knowledge in life. If we don't learn the values when we are young, we are going to be disaster when we grow up. It is the job of the parents to teach values. So at that time, when a child is in brahmacharya ashram, less than 25 years old, the parents are between 25 and 50 years old. So then they are in grahastha ashram. And when they are in grahastha ashram, what should be they doing? Marriage, children, work, intense physical, sexual, emotional, vocational, social, and wealth activities. That is what we do between the age of 25 and 50. We now can expand it up to 60. But our behavior must change after 60. So in Vanprasthashram, what do? We look towards moksha. That means what? We study the scriptures. And once we retire or after the age of 70, we are in sannyas ashram. And now our purusharth is completely different. We have to have complete renunciation, or the material desire must go away. Prejudices must go away. Dispassion must come. And obviously the study of the scriptures. So this is what the scriptures say. What does it say? Taduditam karma svanushthiyatam. That means perform your duties. Now, performing the duties, we have to know what the duties are. Let's put the next one, what our duties are. All right. With some group of people, we went through this slide. What do we do? What do we do in our life? Some people are totally inactive. Inactive means they eat, they drink, they lay on the sofa, and they watch TV, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's it. They do nothing else. We are not talking about them. The rest of the people who do the activities, those activities are divided into 5 different activities. What are they? One is nitya. That means our daily duty. That means nitya karma means what we routinely do every day. That means we brush the teeth and we take shower, when change the clothes, we go to work, we go and buy sabji and milk, and then we come home and cook and eat and go to sleep, etc. So everything we do every single day is a nitya karma. Kamya karma is that we like to do. We like to do what? We like to watch football, or we like to go shopping, or we like to go to see a movie, or we like to go on vacation. All of these are kamya karmas. Remember, working for income is nitya karma. That's a regular, that we have to do. We don't have a choice. Naimittika karma. Naimittika karma is our duties. That, let's say, my grandchild is sick, he's in the hospital. I should run to the hospital. When my son or a daughter or a relative, or even a distant relative, calls and says that I really, really feel sick and I think I'm probably going to die or getting a heart attack, I should run and get him to the hospital. Or if somebody is getting married, I must go and attend, even if I'm in sannyas ashram. These are some of the duties in life that we must do. The next is nishitta karma or weak karma. Weak karma is the same as nishitta karma. What it means is that there are no's in life. You cannot do that. And we must not do that. It is immoral, it is unethical, and sometimes even criminal. So when we don't do, we don't do. That's it. There are no's and big no's. And a man shouldn't do it, a woman shouldn't do it. And we know what are those karmas that we should not be doing. Vikarma is the same as nishitta karma. Now, some people put the duties in a different areas, but naimittika karma also includes automatically the karma yoga. That means you work in a temple, you work with seniors, you work with disciples, you work in anath ashram. In any way or form, that you want to help the other people in the world, that is called Satya Karma, a good karma. It earns punya, and we should be doing, that is Sattva. That means helping the other people who need our help without asking for anything in return, without actually even expecting anything in return. Okay, that is the second portion. So we just finished one line. Let's take the third portion. Second line. Tene sasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Dedicate all our actions to the Lord. Let's see the next slide. Okay, I think we talked a little bit about the Karma Yoga before. What it says is the middle, Ishwar Arpana. What does that mean? Karma Yoga includes help the people without getting anything in return. Ishwar Arpana, dedicate that action to the Lord or surrender to the Lord. And third, don't expect any results. So this particular shloka, this particular sentence applies to the middle, Ishwar Arpana. What it means is that even before we do the action, we dedicate that action to Bhagavan. No matter what we do, the result of our action is not what we decide. Let's say you start cooking and somehow you put more salt or more spices or burn the food. Did you mean that? No. You plant the trees outside and very often the tree dies. Did you mean that? No. Did you want the tree to die? No. Then no matter what action we do, we go to play. Let's say you play soccer. What was the intention? Or well, at our age, you can play tennis or golf. Then what was the purpose? You wanted to win. Do you win all the time? No, you don't. So the result of the action is not in our hands. All we can do is to do the action. But it is best if you surrender to the Lord and do the action. That means we have to think that the Lord is the doer. I am just the nimitta matra. Lord has appointed me to do the work. If you work in the temple, don't you work with the dedication to the Lord? That this is Bhagwan's work. I'm working in the temple. That's all. I want nothing for myself. So that means dedicate all actions to the Lord. It has a biggest advantage. If you win, you didn't win, the Lord won. If you lose, you didn't lose, the Lord lost. Then there is no sorrow because Bhagavan lost. We didn't lose. So that's what it means. With every one of our actions, even if I give a simple example, let's say I'm a doctor working in my office. I see a patient. I said, this is Bhagwan's work. I'm going to do the best I can. I listen to the patient's story, I examine, I give the medicine, he goes home. He gets better or he doesn't get better. Whatever it is, it's not me. I did my best. Now Bhagwan can do whatever he wants to do, make him better or not make him better. Every single profession, every single action, even a banker or a farmer, whoever that person is, if he dedicates all his actions to Bhagwan, he's never going to be an unhappy person. And that's what it means in this particular shloka, in particular portion, that dedicate all your actions to Bhagwan. So we went through 3 of the parts. We have a few minutes. Let's do the 4th one too. The 4th one is Kamye Matistyajatam That means, no, not prasad buddhi. It is the, no, give up all the actions. You can press this one, that's fine. Okay, all right. What it means is that renounce all the desires. Kamya matistyachatam. Now that is very difficult to understand. But what we can do is that, put it in this way. All our life, we have desires, 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 and desire. Desire to have a nice house, desire to have wealth, desire to have a good husband and wife couple, desire to have a good children, desire to have a good car, desire to have vacations. Our desires never stop. And at old age, people make a bucket list that before I die, I want to do these 10 things. If you are lucky enough to finish 10 things, before you finish 10 things, you have a list of another 10 things. That before I die, I want these 10 more things to do. So the desires never end. So this much portion says what? That control your desires. In other words, that if we have a feeling of contentment, that whatever I have is plenty. My house is good. My own works. I get the food at home. Whatever I get, I'm happy. My children, they live of their own. Whatever they do, it's fine with me. My grandchildren, they go to study. Whatever they study, it's fine with me. So contentment, when it comes, then we control ourselves in our expectations and in our desires. So this portion says is that don't indulge in the life. This time in Grahasthashram, we do indulge. Once we grow up, don't indulge. That is portion says. So we finished the first 2 lines of the first shloka. And I think I want to go for question answer, and I'm hoping that some people have questions. No, I want to open up the whole thing. Yeah.
So, and this is Chandra Ahuja, Dr. Kapadia.
How are you, Chandraji?
I'm fine, Ji. I'm fine. I have one question. The first thing you said, Shruti.
Yes.
Okay. So, Shruti is all the Vedas?
Yes. Okay, listen to the word Shruti. Shru comes from hearing. Hearing what? Bhagwan said. Bhagwan said what and to whom? Bhagwan told the rishis. When did Bhagwan say? When it was the rishis were in deep meditation. So it is this literature which rishis found out when they were in deep meditation, and that is written up by Ved Vyas, and that compiled form is called Shruti. So Shruti includes Vedas, and Vedas automatically has Upanishads in it. Yeah. So Vedas has four portions, and one of the portion is Upanishad. So Upanishad are the one which teaches us that knowledge comes from Upanishad. So that is a part of Shruti. This is what the rishis heard when they were in deep meditation.
Yeah, I think it also comes this Shruti word in music, which is called microtones. You know, when you have sa, a note, right? But sa has almost few shrutis, like microtones, like barikis. So I think it really well goes with this. Bhagwan used to tell those very brief things, and you were listening, and then that's all.
So the real only meaning of Shriti is what is heard.
Yes.
Is heard.
Yes.
So what is heard is called Shruti. And heard by the rishis is put down in Vedas. That is called Shruti. That means heard by the rishis. And music is also heard.
Heard, not. Yes. Yeah, that's it. It's very good. Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
So Anjuji, I have the answer of your question, which I couldn't give yesterday.
Okay.
You want to discuss in Thursday's class? That would be fine, because I think some of them are expecting answer too.
Yes, no, that's fine. So you
But
should.
it's a very small information, because the more information is not available in any books. So it is only one or two sentences. But we will discuss in Thursday class, because other people want to know the answer.
What was the question, Jatin bhai?
It was satta, parimarthik satta, vyavaharik, and pratibhasik.
So there are three kinds of satta, which we were discussing yesterday. So satta means what is the reality? What is true? What is the reality? So the realities has three levels. The first is Bhagwan is the reality. That is called Paramarthik Satta. There is only one reality in the world, because that reality, Bhagwan, Sat, never changes. Bhagwan was there before the universe was created, is there yesterday, Bhagwan is there today, Bhagwan will be there tomorrow, Bhagwan will be there after the universe is destroyed. So that is called Paramarthik Satta. The second Satta is Vyavharik Satta. And Vyavharik Satta means whatever reality. This is my wife, that is my brother, that is my sister. I am going to buy grocery. Whatever we do in the world is Vyavharik Satta, true reality. And the third one, Pratibhasik. Now, bhasa, that word came from image. You look in the mirror is bhasa. It came from image. But here it came from dream. So in the dream, our mind creates a different world. And that different world, while we are dreaming, is a true world for us. While we are dreaming, we don't know anything about awake world. We only know the dream world. So that dream world is illusionary world. And that illusionary, actually even the world is illusionary. The whole, even Vyavharik is also illusionary. So both of them are illusionary. But in awake time, when we do the correspondence, is Vyavharik Satta. And Pratibhasik Satta is the one in which there is a total illusion. The mind created the world, and mind dealt with that world, and mind left that world the time we woke up. So that is Pratibhasik Satta. But more than this much description, I couldn't find it in any book. So I guess these are the only three words, very two sentences about each one of them.
I looked at it. Could it also be superimposition? In my mind, pratibhasik, you are kind of superimposing the reality into something, and it could be Maya too, because pratibhasik, if Paramarthik is Satta, his reflection is pratibhasik, isn't it?
But both of them are Maya. Vyavharik is also Maya.
Right. No, but I'm saying from Paramarthik to pratibhasik, I could say Paramarthik reflecting or superimposition.
Supreme. No. Paramarthik is supreme. Pratibhasik is bhasa. It means it appears like that, but not true. Bhasa is it appears. So the dream appears, but the dream is not real.
But can't we say this Jagat is an appearance of
100%. That is the definition of Maya. This Jagat is the creation that is Samaya, Samaya. That means that which is not true is called Maya. That is the definition of Maya. So the Jagat is definitely illusion. Mithya. It is a mithya. But the word which is used for the Jagat is mithya. Mithya means it appears to be true, but it is not true. So it appears that this is a man, this is a woman, this is my food, this is my car, this is my house. But all of them is from Pancha Mahabhuta. And when it is made up of Pancha Mahabhuta, it is a Maya. The support of this Maya is my Brahman. That is Atman. Atman supports Maya. So Atman supports my life and Atman supports your life. So that's why that Atman is Paramarthik. And yours and mine is Maya. And Maya, your life and my life, is supported by Atma.
So if I have to say again, if maybe I'm just getting too technical, would I say Pratibhasik and Maya are two separate things?
No, both of them are Maya.
But it's an appearance in Maya.
The only difference is that is a dream, illusionary Maya. But Maya itself is illusion, but the dream is even more illusion because it is not in the awake state. It is a dream state.
Anjuji, you can also think like this. When you look in the mirror, the image that you look into is your image, but that's not you. Yeah. The real you is outside. The image is pratibhasik.
Yeah. You got hurt on the you can't take a band-aid and put it on the mirror.
Right. So that's why I said I could see it as a reflection of something, yes. Reflection of. Yes. So that could be pratibhasik, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reflection.
That is one way to describe.
Yes.
But the book clearly described in terms of dreams.
Right. No, I looked at it also last night. So they were talking about dream, but in my mind, and somewhere they did talk about reflection and the mirror analogy too. So.
Right. Both are explained in the book.
Right.
Both the things. The dream is also explained in the book, and the mirror is also explained in the book. So that is the little vagueness there, but there is not much more literature available.
All right, thank you, Ji. Now on this shloka that we just started,
right.
So we are talking about, the first 4 parts. We said, study the Vedas daily, perform diligently the duties, dedicate all your action to the Lord,
correct.
And then don't indulge in life. So is it, if somebody is in Grihast ashram, isn't it kind of telling them don't, with all the temptations around, don't indulge?
True. Now, that's why we divided the whole life into 4 ashrams. Because the things we do in one ashram is not same as the things we do in other ashram. Is not the same as things we do in the 3rd and the 4th ashram. That is why we divided the 4th ashram. And that is why we say that if you talk about the word lust, it is a bad word, but it is necessary in Grihastha ashram. We must have spouse. We must have children. We must educate them. We must give them the values and virtues. So that is the job of the parents. And the parents can have children only, that's what is supposed to be done between the age of 25 and 60. It used to be 50, now it is up to 60 because children don't finish before 30. So we extended that the first part is not up to 25, up to 30. That is a brahmacharya ashram. And then grihastha ashram between 30 and 60. And hopefully by 60, they are out of our life in the sense that they are either married or working somewhere, or they are not actually living with us when we turn 60. So now we have a right to go to Vana. or Vanprasthashram. You have a right to walk towards retirement.
Thank you.
So Bhavanaji, we purposely spend a little bit more time between Shruti and Puranas. It's for the same purpose, is that I want everybody to understand, because this question comes up all the time, and it comes up between us also, that brother and sister, cousins and friends, and everybody says, how did this happen? Why should Bhagavan do this? Why? But remember, there is a different concept of Puranas and different concept of Shrutis. Actually, there is a story for that too. I'll make it short. That when Ved Vyas finished writing or compiling the Vedas and Brahma Sutra, he was very depressed. And when something happens, who comes? Narada. So Narad Muni came. And he said that Ved Vyas, you have done the work nobody has ever done in the history of this man life, humanity. And you did that work. Why are you depressed? And then he said, you know, what I wrote, people don't understand. What I teach, people don't understand. So I don't feel good. That what is the sense in teaching something which people don't understand? He said, because you are missing one thing. What are you missing? Love. Where do you bring the love from? Bhakti. How do I do the bhakti? Write the scriptures which are designed for bhakti, so people can develop love for Ram, love for Krishna, love for Mata, love for Hanuman, love for Ganesha, love for everybody. And if you write something which is about love, people will listen to what you have to say. So that's what it was. And that's how the later part, we came up with all the Puranas. But original scriptures were only Vedas.
So basically what you're saying is that the Puranas are really the mythological explanation of...
Well, every Swami will really hesitate using the word mythology. The reason why we don't use the word mythology is because we have a possibility that we can do two things. There is also possibility we can do 10 things, and there is possibility we can do 100 things. There is possibility Bhagavan is so vast, and the universe is so vast that there are millions of possibility. And if there are millions or infinite possibilities, all this is also possibility. So in that sense, people do not use the word mythology. People often don't use the word Hindu mythology, because the way we look at the scriptures, the way we look at Brahman or Bhagavan is completely different from people look at their leader in their religion. So in most other religion, there is one person, one book, one teaching, and that's what the people follow. But we teach the philosophy of life, and philosophy of life has not one tiny book. Philosophy of life is infinite. Our problems are infinite, and the solutions of our problems are infinite. That's why Bhagavan is infinite, and Bhagavan can do the things which are infinite. And that also includes Hanuman can jump across the ocean. That is a possibility. So don't call me, mythology. You can. And some good authors use the word mythology. So it is not some kind of sin of using the word as mythology, but that's what it is, possibilities.
It's called
really-
Shastra.
That's why it is called, I use the word, she told me too, that use the word Sambhav Shastra. Puranas are Sambhav Shastra. Sambhav is possibilities. We use that word Sambhav in Hindi also, that this is Sambhav, this is possible. So that's why it is Sambhav Shastra. It is all possible.
So the Puranas are basically making the concepts which are in the Vedas more concrete. Something
Correct.
we can
In a
read
story form.
in a story form.
Yes. This is how we teach our children. If we want to say, teach something to, if I want to teach my son, and he's,
I am up there.
then what I do is that I will tell him a story of, oh, there was a king and he has 2 boys, and the boy who lied had to suffer, and the boy who was honest and never lied, he became in charge. So this is the way we tell the story to our children. This is the way Bhagavan is telling us. But what he's teaching is important. The misinterpretation is in Vedas also, that the people, especially Britishers, they have misused the words so badly that they described Hinduism is a bad religion because they wanted Christianity. And they ruled over us for 150 years. They washed our brains and they made us understand they are superior people than us. And as of today, and I think you know in your business too, is that as of today, the IQ of Indians is more than the IQ of whatever people from that origin.
Mhm.
So it is a statistically proven thing. But they don't want to accept it. They think we are inferior. Anyway, that's a totally different point. But this is what our nation went through. So we are correcting our problems. It will take a while.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that the people have interest. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
This sometimes becomes harder, and it's going to take longer time than I thought. It will take about 10 sessions. So be it. It's okay. We are not rushing. We could rush, but why? We have nothing else, one after the other. Understanding is more important than finishing. Okay, now you got only 20 minutes. You got to finish your whatever you have to do.
So we do have the books, the Sadhana Panchakam. Arun Bhagirath has the books for those of you who live here in Westchester, or even if you're out, in other parts of the country, we can mail these to you. The mailing is really not that much. If you would, if you'd like to have the book, I'd hate for it that you go out and buy another one. It's only $2, but still, since we have it, we'd be happy to send them to you if you'd like to share your address or let us know how to contact you. Then we can work it out and get the book to you. It's a small little book, and we can mail it to you. So we got 30 copies, and 30 or 15, 30 copies. And Arun Bhagirath ji has copies with him, so you can just get it from him. And, just another announcement: we have Mata Ki Chauki coming up on April 18th, which is Sunday at 5 o'clock. We will also be doing Kanjak Puja on that day from 6:30 to 7. And it's going to be at Royal Palace, but we will also stream it on Zoom. So if you choose not to come to Royal Palace, then you can see it, join us in the Chauki over Zoom as well. Although, we'd love to have you there as in person. We do.
Bhavanaji, if you want to stop recording, I will do the closing prayer.
Okay.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Jatin bhai. बहुत बहुत प्रणाम आपको.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as I was saying, we need volunteers for Mata Ki Chauki. And please come forward. We need a few people to make prasad packets for about, whatever you can do, maybe 15 packets each person. Then we're aiming to have at least 75. So some of those small Ziploc bags, just dry fruit in the Ziploc bags. We also need people to make Vrat ka khana, sabudana khichdi. One person has already volunteered to make 38-ounce those plastic boxes for sabudana khichdi, but we need more. We need about 50 in total. So we need somebody to make 20 more boxes of sabudana khichdi, 50 boxes of kheer, and 50 boxes of moraiya. So if you'd like to volunteer, please let us know. You can call, the flyer will be going out tomorrow, and you can call the people. You can always let Arun Bhagirath and Usha Bhagirath know that you can do that. These 8-ounce plastic boxes that you get at the restaurants, they're just small little boxes. They're available on Amazon, 50 of them for like $15, and at Restaurant Depot for $10. So you can always get them from there. And we need people, some people who have been vaccinated. If they would like to come to Royal Palace and help out that day, we need help with the registration table and also the selling of the chutneys. And for cleanup, people always leave at the end, and then it's the same people who are stuck over there cleaning up and putting everything away. And, this is the opportunity. This is what being a part of the temple community is all about, is providing your seva. So please come forward, and it really doesn't take a lot of time. Whatever you can contribute, it doesn't matter. Even if you can make just 5 boxes of the Vrat ka khana, or 5 packets Ziploc bags, that is fine. It will be very appreciated, and it would be a form of seva that you're doing for the mandir. So please come forward. If you'd like to put your contact information in the chat box, we can get it from there, or you can call Arun Bhagirath ji or me or Usha or Rakhi Chopra, any one of the volunteers whose names are going to be there on the flyer that go out. So thank you very much. Also, Jatin Kapadia ji will be back again on April 30th. My apologies. I forgot to put April 9th on the first flyer that I sent out. I only had April 30th there, but hopefully you got the second flyer with both the dates on it. Human beings make mistakes. My apologies for that. But that's it from me.
Thank you.
Arun, your
No, I just was going to add that we need sponsors also for Mata Ki Chauki. So anybody who wants to sponsor, please do that. I know I'm always coming to people asking for sponsorship. So, but that's what the temple is. To run the temple, we need support, financial support, physical support, mental support. So.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is of Christian. She's a colleague actually, and of course, so she belongs to a church. And I was asking her. I said, in your church, do you have any kind of is it an understanding that you have to give? Because I've attended church services, and they always pass the hat around, so to speak, at the end of it. And she was telling me, she says it's an unwritten understanding that 10% of a person's annual income is supposed to be given to the church. So when you look at the Christian faith and you find churches on every corner, that's how they do it. because they give. And you find, synagogues, there's so many of synagogues all over the place. It's not just because they outnumber us, but they outnumber us in the giving. They give more to the faith.
Absolutely.
Not only their time, but also their money. And unfortunately, as much as we say, that it's our belief and our faith, and all that is important, but we live in a monetary society, and it takes money to have a temple and to have a system that can support us. So please give generously, and the more you give, the more you'll get back.
थैंक यू। चंदन जी समाप्ति करेंगे।
ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। असतो मा सद्गमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमया। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ द्यौ शान्ति अन्तरिक्षगं शान्ति पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरोषधयः शान्ति वनस्पतयः शान्ति विश्वे देवाः शान्ति ब्रह्म शान्ति सर्वगं शान्ति शान्तिरेव शान्ति सामा शान्तिरेधि। ॐ Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःख भाग भवेत्। अब सब तन मन धन से सुखी रहें, यही भगवान के माँ के चरण कमलों में मेरी प्रार्थना है, और ऐसे ही मंदिर की सेवा करते रहें। और धीमन भाई, वंस अगेन वेरी वेरी हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू। भगवान आप पे भी ऐसे ही कृपा करते रहें। भावना जी, आई जस्ट वांटेड टू ऐड कि यहाँ व्हाइट प्लेन में एक चर्च है, तो उसका अकाउंट हमारे बैंक में था।
हाँ.
तो उनका एवरेज डिपॉजिट जो है $13,000 पर वीक होता था।
हाँ. And that must be a small church.
स्मॉल चर्च था।
हाँ.
स्मॉल चर्च था।
हाँ.
तो ये दे गिव $100-200 तो ऐसे ही दे, लोग जो है उसमें डाल देते हैं चेक।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
तो डू योर बेस्ट। हम किसी को फोर्स नहीं कर रहे, लेकिन भगवान का काम है, तो हमारी प्रार्थना सबसे जरूर है। कुछ लोग तो मुझे रेगुलरली देते हैं, मुझे पता है। तो but my prayer is to the one who hasn't donated or who has donated small. Please do it.
So Bharat Kumar Jani put his email in the chat box, Arun ji.
हाँ जी।
उनको उनका email है।
हाँ जी।
तो मैं आपको भेज दूंगी, तो उनसे एड्रेस लेके फिर हम उनको बुक भेज देंगे।
ठीक है। वो पूछ रहे थे अगर PDF फॉर्म में है तो he can download.
Yeah, but we have the book, so might as well send it to him.
Send it to him. Okay.
Yeah.
ऐसे भी मुझे उनसे बात करनी है। ठीक है।
Okay, namaste everyone.
Namaste, Jai Shri Krishna everybody.
And many happy returns of the day to Dimant bhai also again.
Yeah, he just had to answer a call from a patient, but
Yeah, I got a little distracted too. My granddaughter kept calling me.
thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Thanks for all the best good wishes for him. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Of course, Dhiman bhai ke liye always there.
Always.
Namaste.
Namaste.